Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, your host, and today I'm here with Aubrey Amatelli, and she is creative, and I love that, where she has found a niche that works, and she's grown it to 25 employees. So if you're thinking, okay, how can I scale my business? I don't know what to get into, then today's your day to listen up. So Aubrey, without further ado, if you would introduce yourself to our listeners.
Of course, and thank you for having me. I'm Aubrey Amatelli. I am a single mom of three and an entrepreneur. I started my company in 2022, and it's called PayRio. Rio is actually my youngest child's name. Her name is Rio, and she's named after the Duran Duran song, if any of you know that song. But essentially, I started a company in the payment space focusing on alternative medicine industries. So CBD, cannabis, alternative cannabinoids, etc. And I'm really just happy to be here and share my story.
I love that. How did you get into this payments company?
So I started my career a long time ago at JP Morgan. So they are one of the largest credit card processing institutions in the world and the largest bank in the world. So I started there from a sales rep doing cold calls and grew over a decade of time there to be a leader in their payments division, covering the whole United States. So it was a really great experience at JP Morgan and the big bank. I grew up in the Silicon Valley, always had the startup in my blood. So after 10 years, my kids were grown to a point that I could take the leap of faith and start my own company. All I knew was payments, so that felt very true to my heart. And I'm also passionate about alternative medicines. So ultimately, I manifested kind of my dream job, right? I paired my two passions together, and that's how PayRio was born.
I love the meaning behind it because there's always some type of thing that you can attribute. And now you have 25 employees. So how did you scale to hiring your first employee?
Yeah, great question. So PayRio is self-funded by yours truly, and also being a single mom of three, there's a lot of responsibility in terms of providing for my family. So that was a big risk I was willing to take, or I was ready to take. And I think with that pressure of providing for the family, it was almost like I just couldn't fail in my new job, right? That's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do it. So how I started was essentially I was a sales rep for my own company. I would spend all day, every day, making cold calls into CBD companies and learn about the market a little bit. So what do they need? What are their needs? And through those cold calls is actually where I found that cannabis was an opportunity. All the CBD companies had a payment solution called Square, which many of you may know, but they didn't have a solution. Square doesn't work in the cannabis world. And so there was a light bulb that went off that said, okay, well, the cannabis world needs a Square-like solution. Let me find that and take it to market. So I did months of research and found a technology partner that I was able to partner with them and bring their technology to market. So that's how we started. And then I was able to recruit people close to me. A lot of my company is made up of my best friends from high school or college, stay-at-home moms that want to bring income into their family when their kids are at school. And so my very first employee was actually my neighbor growing up that I used to babysit. He just graduated out of college and was looking for a job, and I didn't have the funds to pay a salary. So I started my company with 1099 sales positions. Essentially, you work for free, but you get a percentage of the revenue or the sale that you're able to bring to the company. So for me, it was a safer space because I knew that if the employee was getting paid, a salary or income they deserved, it was also bringing revenue into the company rather than giving a salary and not knowing if they would achieve the goals they needed to cover their salary. So it's a very safe place for me to be. I started with 1099 sales reps, and as the company grew, we found a product that was needed in the market. We were one of the only credit card processing solutions in my particular market. So we grew very rapidly. And that's where we had to hire on more salespeople and then hourly employees to do onboarding and then operations. And now we have, a VP of sales and different executives at the company that help me grow, help continue to help the company grow.
So do you have a brick and mortar place, or is it more they work out of their homes?
So we do have a corporate headquarters a mile down the road from my house in a cute downtown area called Danville, California. I started the company out of my bedroom office. So for over a year, my commute was from the bed to the desk, right across the room. And then after about a year, I needed to get out. We needed more space, but I didn't want to go far because of the kids being in school and wanting to be around to be with them. So I found a cute space right downtown in the downtown that we always hang out at. And I have an office manager that's here, and then the rest of the team is remote, but they do come in when they find the time, but it's not required.
Nice. That's great. And what are some of the things now that you know and you've built it to scaled it what do you wish you would have known that you now know at the beginning?
That's a great question. All of the roadblocks that I've been through are at the time very devastating or hard or frustrating, but I look back at all of those as my biggest opportunity for learning and like my growth edge. So I came into the company very bright-eyed and excited. I didn't realize initially from a financial standpoint how much I would invest at the beginning to get it going. But I'm actually happy with the hurdles that I face because that is where the biggest growth comes. So I'm not sure if I don't know if there's something I wish I knew. Maybe just how hard it would be kind of on a financial strain standpoint at the beginning to get things going. We definitely had to modify our way of living, and the kids were fine to do that. They've been a part of this journey with me along the way, but it's a huge investment as a family. Not just it's my decision, but it, kind of affects the ecosystem of my family.
Yeah, it definitely is a family affair. I rented a house for a neighbor actually, and she wanted open houses like every weekend, and I was busy, and so I had different people that ran the open house. She's like, "Wow, I feel like I've met your whole family. This is a family affair." I'm like, "It is. Whether they like it or not, I pay them, but it's something that I do, and it's helped all of them." And so I think that it's also good as a mom, tell me if you agree, that it's good to get them involved so that they know that just because you're staying home and you went from your bed to your desk or whatever,
Yeah.
but you are working and it does take effort and you got to follow through with things to be able to have money to do what you want to do. Would you agree?
Exactly. I agree. And I'm very open with the kids because before at JP Morgan, there was a salary, there was a set amount of hours and I would go over. But here at PayRio, there at the beginning, there was no salary and no limit to hours. I was working 15-hour days or more, sometimes 20-hour days to get the company going. And I'm very open. We eat dinner every night as a family. So I talk to them a lot about growing the business and the financial aspect and what it takes and that I need their support. Just that mommy might need to work a little bit more than she has in the past to help so that they can do all the sports they want and all the activities and the theater because I work, as a mom, that's what I work for, to provide them the best life I possibly can. And so I never wanted them to feel like they would have to pull away from a sport or something that they love, because that's the whole reason that I'm doing what I'm doing is so that they can do those things that they love. And so it's being honest with finances and how much I have to work. I didn't want them to feel that they had to pull back, which they did at times. Oh, mom, maybe we shouldn't do that. No, this is why I do the job that I do so that you can have all of those things that you want.
That is really cool, especially that you have those open conversations with them. So my question is, when you have 3 kids, because I have 6, and when they were all living at home, it was tough, right? And so, yeah, I went from a job where I had to be gone for 70-hour weeks to a job that I was still gone a lot because I was showing homes, I was doing things. So if they have swimming or they have soccer, how do you get them all to the places? Do you have help? Do you do it on your own? How do you?
I have help. So I have a live-in au pair from Colombia. She's actually been with us for over 4 years now. So she lives in the home. She's part of the family. She's like a fourth child, right? And so not only I have three kids, but I have another fourth to take care of financially and make sure she has everything she needs to be successful at her taking care of the children, but also has a great life learning to live in the United States. So I have an au pair who helps do all the driving, but I'm very thankful for my mother who only lives about 45 minutes away. And then I have learned over time that to ask and hire help. So hire an office manager slash personal assistant, utilize housekeepers if I can. Just I need the help because you're right. Like working so much and having the three kids and their schedules, a lot of things don't get done unless you hire or ask for help. And so that's been a big learning curve for me is the amount of help that I do need to keep the house in order.
It's tough. I just had a whole family come and stay, and we're talking 12 extra people, right? So I'm still trying to juggle that, trying to be a mom, trying to take care of being the entertainer. And my kitchen, I woke up this morning as they all left, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's exploded, right? And
Yeah.
I have all these appointments I got to do. And so sometimes it's like you try to be that super mom, but let's be honest, it's hard. And just sometimes if you do ask for help, it's very, very nice. And if you were to figure out, okay, how much do I make an hour in my time versus how much can I pay somebody to do this? Is it better to just get somebody to make it really much prettier than I have the energy for? And it's done. So if I'm sitting here doing a recording, that someone else can be doing what they need, what needs to be done.
And with only so many hours in the day, if I'm not working, I want to spend it with my children or focusing on my mental and physical health. Because as a mom, I need to be happy and healthy in order to parent the best way possible. We forget about our mental health and our physical health. And I learned this along the way. If we forget about that, we don't show up for our children the way that we desire. And so about a couple years ago, right after I started the company, I realized I kind of had this epiphany and realized that I really need to focus on myself. And it's not selfish to do that because that is what helps me show up for my kids the way that I want to show up. And so with the company and all the employees, the children, and myself, there really isn't much time to do the chores. So that's where asking for help always ends up being a bigger benefit than doing it myself in certain areas.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to imagine sitting on a park bench and you're just enjoying watching your kids play at the park. And this 9-month pregnant woman walks up to you. And as you get talking, you find out this is her first. And that kind of flashes you back to where you were with that first child and where you are today. What is one piece of advice that you would give that new mom, if it could be anything?
Uh, When I became pregnant with my first, he was a beautiful surprise. And I just immediately, my mindset immediately changed. It was in that moment no longer about me, it was about this baby. And eating the healthiest food, putting the health, making sure my lotions were, everything was all organic and all of the things, and not drinking coffee and just following the rules to the T. And and I guess the advice to the mom, I mean, I don't know if this is advice, but it has not stopped. My son, my youngest is turning 13 soon. So for over 13 years, I've now really poured into my kids, always, worrying about them, making sure that they're healthy and safe. And so you kind of lose that selfishness or just caring about you and your daily life. And it all turns into, okay, I need to make sure I care about me, but my kids. But I would say to the mom that just welcome to one of the most exciting chapters of your life, because my children are so so special to me, and I couldn't imagine life without them. And life before, you can still find time for yourself, but being able to raise children is the best gift of my life. So enjoy that pregnancy. Enjoy that last couple of weeks before you give birth, though. Do all the things for yourself. Go to the grocery store, get your nails done without having to worry about a babysitter or something else. But yeah.
That is good advice. I remember, well, my first, I was bedridden for 4 months, so I had lots of time to stare at the ceiling. And I remember someone telling me that just enjoy the quiet for now because I was pregnant with twins and it would
Wow.
not be quiet very soon. And I did. I woke up or I went in to labor unexpectedly as well. And I didn't have them for the first 3 weeks. And then finally, when they came home, 3 weeks later, I had to go back to work full time. So it was like it was everything I could do every second of every moment that I had of the day to be able to be with them. Well, I couldn't, the other times. And I think it's that cherishing your time. Yes, make sure that you go and do the things that you want. But even if you didn't get all those things on your list done, it's okay because now you can bring them with you. Or that might be your self-care time where you go and you have somebody that can care for them. So it is cherish the moments. Don't wish for the next step. That is important as well.
Live in the present. That's a good one. Just live in the present because before you know it, your firstborn will be 12 and almost taller than you. And it's just shocking to me now that that little baby that I was so that made me a mother is now going a couple months away from being taller than me.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
And graduating. I remember my son last year, he graduated from high school, and I went to his play. And I just started bawling because I realized this is his last play that I'm going to be able to see. And it was, I have no idea why it hit me so hard. I think because he was my last of my first four with my first husband. And he's growing up and he has grown up and it will never be the same. And so it's all those moments those that go by so quickly. And if you prioritize, like that's something is making sure that you prioritize what's important to you. And if you have your kids, I hope that that's the importance, so that you don't lose them in the process or they raise themselves.
Yeah.
So,
I actually have a piece of advice. It's not mine that just popped up when you shared that, but Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, I saw him speak about a year after I had my first. And he is a dad of girls and he is, one of the most successful CEOs of all time, right? And he said in a live show that he apologized to his daughters that he wasn't, when they were grown. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I had to work so much. I want to get this off my chest, but I just want to say, like, I apologize for working so much. And his daughter said, "What are you talking about? You were always at our games. You were always present at dinner. We didn't feel that way, Dad." And he said, and he realized that it's because when he was home, he was present. He didn't have the phone with him. He didn't have his computer on. He was present at dinner. He was present at those games. And so that really stuck with me. The time we do have our kids as working mothers, we need to be present and off the phone and put those devices away, even though it might be hard because that's what his daughters remembered, is that he was always there. When he was home and he was present. And that really stuck with me, being a working mom and working so much, that the kids just remember those times that you have with them. And if you're on the phone or not really available to them when you are with them, then they will feel like you aren't around.
it's true.
Yeah.
To add a little asterisk and add that spouse too, right? Because there's a
Spouse.
few times where,
Oh yeah, I forget. I haven't had a spouse for
but it's true as a
any,
wife,
yeah.
because I was single for a while as well. Sometimes, like my husband and I, we rarely see each other right now. And so I'm on the phone. If we're driving in the car together, we get in and I start making phone calls. And he's like, "Why do you come?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Because I have to be quiet and sit here staring at the road while you're on the phone all the time." And I thought, like, he's voicing his feelings. And my kids, the same thing. I'm like, "Oh, car time, that needs to be our time." And so that's something where I love that being present with whoever your family is, if
Yeah.
kids, especially because we're talking about being a mom, but as a wife as well, that person needs you as well. And so making sure that you are present. I love that advice. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, Aubrey, if our listeners wanted to find you, how would they do that?
So I have a company Instagram that I run actually myself. I really want to be able to connect to our clients and our prospects in the community. We're a very community-based company. So it's PayRio, PAYRIO_HQ. You can message me there. You can always also go to our website, payrio.com, and there's a way to book a meeting with me if you want to chat. And then find us on LinkedIn as well as just PayRio on LinkedIn. But very easily accessible because I want to be. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want to inspire other women that they can do it too. It's the best decision I have ever made. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life besides learn to be a mom, but it is the most rewarding.
Love that. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And Unbreakable Moms, I hope that you've been inspired by Aubrey, that she did. She started out in the 9 to 5. She put in her time, but then she saw a need and saw a niche and she went for it. And it's something that she was able, as you heard, marry together what she knew. And if you are struggling with finding something that you want to do, sit down and figure out what are you passionate about and then go after it and go make it a great day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.